TIFU by ruining my neighborhood's internet for around 2 years. Using throwaway because my main uses some of my name and people would probably get pissed at me IRL. A bit of backstory. I had a guy from Xfinity come to my house today because the internet was topping off at 15 MB/s. I pay for /256 MB/s. I thought it was the usual Xfinity is garbage and throttling me stuff or the modem was dying. When he came, he told me that the issue was bigger than I thought. The modem and the cable box were sending him an error saying the connection was faulty. He replaced the usual stuff, splitters, coaxial cable ends, etc. Some were still from 2005 which he was surprised about. Every time he replaced something, he hooked up his coax signal analysis device and checked the signal. After all of that replacing, he kept getting a good signal. If you have seen a stable signal chart, you can tell a coax signal is stable if the average looks almost like a line with no major variations, kinda like a seismic wave chart when there's no earthquakes happening. Well, after all that replacing, he then tested the coax that was going into my modem. The chart looked a magnitude 8 earthquake. TBH, I'm shocked at how the modem didn't kill itself trying to use that noisy signal. He was extremely confused at this point and started following every wire that led to that coax. Well, he found the problem. This is where the butternut up comes in. Around 2 years ago when my doggo was a pup, she used to chew up everything. If someone left a shoe outside, it was all over the yard in the next minute. I even had to fence off our peach trees since she uprooted 2 of them. At one point, she found some cables that went into the house. She chewed up one of the cables so bad, I had to take her to a vet to make sure that she didn't ingest anything too bad. She was fine and didn't swallow anything. I didn't check up on what cables she chewed, and didn't really care since it was just the outer rubber that was gone and that part of the backyard where the cables were was fenced off. Well, turns out that cable was the coax that led to the router. It also turned out the rubber wasn't the only thing that was chewed off, it was all the shielding for said coax cable. The city-destroying earthquake that was the signal noise stemmed from all the interference that naked cable was receiving. Wi-Fi, cellular data, radio, Bluetooth, rain, wind, everything that touches it. This didn't only affect my internet, it affected everyone's internet. The noise that one cable was producing leaked back into the cabling system that fed throughout my entire neighborhood. It was so bad that sometime between then and now, Comcast was called by one of our neighbors and they had to find the general area where the noise was coming from. They were spot on, and put a noise filter in the power lines. This noise filter makes sure the signal is stable, but it hurts the signal's strength. After he disconnected that coax, he went up and removed that noise filter. No more earthquake, no more filter. Here's a screenshot of how much that improved the internet and another of the infamous cable. Everything is all good now, but please learn from me. Anything related to electricity outside can and will affect everyone else, so please check your cables. TL, Doctor. My dog chewed off the shielding of a coaxial cable going into my house when she was a puppy, around 2 years ago. It caused a crazy noisy signal that spread throughout my entire neighborhood, effectively ruining my entire neighborhood's internet for around 2 years. TL, Doctor. The TL, Doctor. Dog bite cable. Made cable bad. Made internet in neighborhood bad. Surprised it took them 2 years. Usually when noise gets sent back into the network that gets picked up. Comcast has monitoring called Watchtower which actively monitors all the line extenders and they can adjust from there. For the rest of the ISPs they will usually isolate the noise to your place, disconnect your tap and tag your door for a follow-up visit like you had to find it. So Xfinity is still garbage and let Ops neighborhood's internet get throttled for 2 years. What kind of animal doesn't care to check what kind of cable your dog chewed up? Yeah, the cable wasn't grounded properly / at all. I'm surprised it worked at all. I'm surprised Comcast actually fixed anything. Experience with Comcast from last place. Internet speed low. Cable box constantly going out. Not being able to get certain channels. Comcast guy found the box containing the problem was in another yard. You had jump our back fence then go 3 houses down. This was in an entirely different housing tract. Comcast doesn't have people to do that actual repair. they contract it out. Comcast contractors work on jobs that require no contact with customers since they don't want any interaction to reflect on the company. When the contract gets the alert to come to my address, they can't find the box, mark the job as complete and leave. We went round and round with them until a tech guy finally broke down the likely cycle of what I just described. Since they were the only provider of internet, I had to put up with it until I moved. Now I have AT&T Fiber 1000. Best. Do you live in Livonia by any chance? TIFU by involuntarily threatening a security guard at the airport. Obligatory. This didn't happen today but a few years back. However, I have only recently joined Reddit, so I thought I should share the story. So a few years back I was at the airport with my older sister. We were traveling back from Sweden and home to Italy. We are Italian. Before going through customs I had placed a paper bag with some pastry in it in my overly full backpack, to eat it at the gate while waiting for boarding. The suspicious package, sure enough, tipped off the security personnel and one of them asked me if the bag was mine. Here is when the TIFU happens. My Italian brain decides that now it's a good idea to use a classic Italian expression for a bag that is packed, e pieno da scoppia. My helpful self tries to translate the expression in English, so that the very large and muscular security guard can understand it, and I blurt out, "Don't touch it, it's going to explode." My sister looks at me like I am retarded, the guard flexes and prepares to take me down, and I am left scrambling and trying to explain that I just had a massive brain fart, since in Italian this is an actual expression and it's something we say when bags are so packed you don't want to open them. I apologize profusely for being such an idiot, open the bag and show every single item. The guard lets us go with the friendly advice that there are some things you shouldn't say in an airport. It's a mess. We landed safely anyhow, and I haven't been using the expression since. Doctor, I translated an out-of-place Italian expression to English at the security check of the airport, leading the guards to think I must have had a bomb in my bag. This is the first post I actually believe. If he had said that in America, he would just now be able to post on Reddit after getting out of jail. Remember the scene of Robert Downey Jr. film scene due date. TIFU by matching with my stepson on Grindr. Throwaway for obvious reasons. For context, a few years ago I, 47M, met my now wife during my time as SWE at Blizzard, obligatory coconut blizzard. She, 48F, was a single mother of 3 kids, and because of this, found few men who were willing to have a long-term relationship and none that wanted marriage. As an extremely sexually active bisexual, one partner was never enough for me, so only open relationships have worked. Because of this, I've never met a partner who wanted marriage either. At first we were FWBs, but after one particular night of adventurous zucchini with 3 other guys, very open relationship if you couldn't tell, haha, I confessed that I have romantic feelings for her and we decide to become a couple. Fast forward 1 year, and I proposed to her under the condition that the relationship stays open. Happily, and admittedly a little out of desperation, she says yes. Now happily married, I continue to use both Tinder and Grindr throughout our marriage with a relatively high level of success, making sure to not show my face or tattoos in the photos for the slim chance that a family member of hers stumbles upon my profile and recognizes me. As a 5'1" zucchini brunette bombshell, she doesn't have any trouble attracting the opposite zucchini either, especially the younger crowd smile. So here's where the banana up begins. So a couple days ago, I was browsing through Grindr when a younger user who caught my eye. Their profile picture was a picture of their torso, toned arms, washboard abs, and a well-groomed happy trail. If Ram Ranch cowboys were real, this would be one of them. I chatted with him on the app, and we decided to meet up at his place that night. We settled on meeting at 8:30, so at 7:30 I packed my zucchini and left to get dinner. Some more context. Me and my wife still live in separate houses because of the open relationship. All 3 of my wife's kids have moved out, except for one kid, let's call him Mike, 18M, who still lives with my wife. However, for that weekend, I was at my wife's house. This happened to be a night that my wife was on a business trip and I would have been leaving back to my house, so Mike was home alone. So after eating my dinner, I tap on the location he sent me and just start following the directions, not really paying attention to where I was going. After a couple minutes, I realize this is really similar to the route I would take to my wife's house. As I get closer and closer to my Grindr paramour's house, I realize I'm in my wife's neighborhood. Once I pull up in front of the house, my heart sinks. It's my wife's house. I'm in absolute shock. My mind just goes numb, and I decide to approach the door, which was completely stupid in retrospect, but when I was in that situation I wasn't thinking right. I ring the doorbell, and Mike opens the door shirtless, and it was the same man I sent butternut to and flirted with on Grindr. After a few seconds of staring, he realized what happened as well and slammed the door shut. I just walked back to my car and drove home. I have not spoken to him or my wife about it since, and I honestly don't know what to do. I only had slight suspicions of my stepson being zucchini before this, but I never would have guessed that he would have zucchini Grindr. My wife comes back today, and that's when I'll be visiting her house again for Thanksgiving with her family. I'll post an update letting you guys know how it goes. TL, Doctor, I matched with a younger guy on Grindr. We agreed to meet at his house, but I end up driving to my wife's house and realize I got matched with my stepson. This is my BS detector going off. Why the banana would you go to the goddamned door? Edit. Of course this is the most upvoted thing I've ever posted. Oh man, that's pretty bad. Totally true and not at all fabricated story. Having never used Grindr or Tinder, I could be missing something, but how is it at all possible that you didn't recognize your wife's address? Wreck me daddy. On another level,